Joining me now is Michael Weiner to talk about the economy, inflating away the debt, destroying your purchasing power. And is the Trump administration in on this? Have they been brought in to sell you that everything's wonderful? The economy is great, better than ever. Utility bills are down, et cetera, that we've heard this week from President Trump and others, when we all know that it's not great, that our utility bills are higher, and that indeed a lot of things at the grocery store cost more. And we now have the White House press secretary trying to blame this on the Democrats, which really makes you wonder when it comes to the CPI, consumer price indexing, are we ever going to get legitimate numbers? Caroline Leavitt says, it's all the Democrats' fault. Let me tell you something. I'm tired of that because the reality is Republicans, Democrat, it's always the same thing. With every administration, they try to cook the books, in my opinion, from years of watching this. They don't want to take responsibility for anything on their watch. They always want to blame the other guy. They have a basket of goods that they look at to determine the rate of inflation or consumer price index. The funny thing is, and it's not funny, that this is a rigged game. For instance, I'm told that if you have a family that runs out of the ability to buy steak, well, they just figure they've swapped in chicken, and they don't account for that in the CPI numbers. The basket of goods they're looking at are deliberately, I think, rigged so as not to reveal the real rate of inflation. Now, here's the reality. I think they have no choice, as Mitch Wexler has been telling us and others. They have no choice, the government, the central bank administrations, but to inflate away the debt, to debase our U.S. currency, quantitative easing, whatever you call it. And I think there's another rate cut coming the 1st of December. Bottom line is, I think we are headed into more inflation, but they don't want you to know that. They want to lie to you. And now they're going to say, well, we don't really know the numbers for October because of the shutdown, and it's the Democrats' fault. I'm not buying this right-left Hegelian dialectic they give us all the time. It seems like at the end of the day, this is all a dog and pony show, and they blame each other and think that we're all going to buy it, that this is always the fault of the other guy. They never want to take responsibility. Let's not forget, again, it was the Trump administration. They gave us warp speed, which killed how many? We've already seen tonight about what? The PCR test. 86% faulty readings. 86%. A lot of this happened under President Trump in his first term. Has he held anybody accountable for any of it? No, apparently he still believes it and is getting the boosters. So I start wondering whether I trust them in other areas, right? One of them being, they don't want you to know the reality of inflation. Because he told us the other day that your utility bill is down. No, it's not. You know that's not true. I mean, they're building a base for Qatar in Saudi Arabia. Let me fix that again, Logan. They're building a facility for Qatar in Idaho. Trump wants to have 600,000 Chi-Com students come in here so he can prop up the communist Marxist, cultural Marxist schools, where we should just let them collapse. He wants more HB1 visa foreigners in here because Americans aren't smart enough. How much do you have to hear to realize, Houston, we have a big problem? And I'm not playing politics. This is about the future of the country for my children and my grandchildren. And I'm done playing. I never have played politics, but I'm not about to start now. We gave the Trump administration a chance. No one expected them to fix it in the first year, but we did not expect them to tell us something that we all know is not true. And yet that's what we keep hearing. And now we're supposed to trust them when it comes to the rate of inflation, which ironically now, how convenient. You can't figure out what the real CPI number is. Yeah, I don't think they want you to know. Listen to what Caroline Leavitt was marched out to say the other day.
Economists, investors, and policymakers at the Federal Reserve to receive critical government data. The Democrats may have permanently damaged the federal statistical system with October CPI and jobs reports likely never being released. And all of that economic data released will be permanently impaired, leaving our policymakers at the Fed flying blind at a critical period.
Yeah, I don't buy it. You can fix the CPI. You can fix the numbers. You can fix the table. You could just go over to Shadow Stats. Go over to Shadow Stats. There's a guy over there I've been following for years at Shadow Stats showing you what the real rate of CPI was. Well, I guess one of the guys in the Trump administration slipped up today and said it outright. The Trump Economic Council Director, Kevin Hassett, says we may never know what the October unemployment rates are. We'll just have to concoct something. That's what he said. Listen.
And the household survey wasn't conducted in October, so we're going to get half the employment report. We'll get the jobs part, but we won't get the unemployment rate, and that'll just be for 1 month. But yeah, it is true that we probably will maybe be able to concoct something, but we'll never actually know for sure what the unemployment rate was in October.
Wow. Okay. So going forward, you think you guys can figure it out? Who cares if they can figure it out going forward? Their numbers are still not going to be accurate. If you go over to Shadow Stats, I don't know how many of you have been over there. I haven't interviewed the guy in years. But you go to shadowstats.com, shadowstats.com. Here it is right here, okay? The analysis behind and beyond government economic reporting. And you have to, it's a subscription, so you have to buy a lot of it. Walter John Williams is his name, okay? And I've interviewed him, and it's been a long time. And he shows you that the CPI, whether under Republicans or Democrats, is always a lie, always a lie. So this is a lot of confusion for the average American who doesn't know what I'm saying tonight. But a lot of you do because you're smart people. But I don't think you're going to get a lot of truth coming out of the Trump administration when it comes to the real rate of inflation. President Trump's already told you, as I've said 3 times right now, your utility bill is down. We all know that's not true. And he's going to continue to tell you there's no inflation, while I think they deliberately debased the U.S. currency in order to pay off the debt with cheaper dollars. Listen to what this individual has said, and then we'll get a response from Michael Weiner. Listen to this.
The boomers control $79 trillion of wealth. $79 trillion. The millennials only control 16, 17 trillion, right? Maybe even less. So when Lehman went down 15, 16 years ago, the oldest boomers were relatively young. Now the oldest boomers controlling $79 trillion of wealth are turning 80. So think about that. You got boomers that are in the S&P 500 that are approaching 80 years old, and they have 15, 16% of their net worth in 2 stocks. This is madness, absolute madness. No one's calling it out. It's disgusting. And I'm telling you, it's going to end in tears. There's just going to be a big rotation out of insanely priced equities into more value. Those cash flows and those companies that own assets in the ground are worth a lot more in that new regime. And that's what triggers this thundering herd of capital from growth stocks and bonds over toward hard assets. So you've got the $38 trillion debt hole. And the only way out of that debt hole is monetizing the debt debasement. It's going down that Banana Republic trail, which they never want to admit.
Larry, what is the one trade you would not touch right now?
All right. That's an interesting broadcast. I listened to almost all of it. Joining me now is Michael Weiner. Michael, welcome to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Good evening, Brandon. Good evening. I tell you, you're spot on with this. You know, months ago, you and I talked about devaluation, revaluation. We talked about the inflationary situation. We said it's not going away. I mean, it was wonderful to solve the problems with the eggs. Oh, that was great. But it did not solve anything else. As a matter of fact, all the issues and most of the attention that's gone on since the beginning of the administration has been completely with tariffs. And the tariffs have not only, I mean, they sound great. We want to bring all this work back to America, all this other stuff. But in the interim, we needed more immediate fix within the national area of the economics, not globally. And what's going on right now is a result not only of them not paying attention onshore, but also the fact that the inflation that was going forward under the Biden administration, it's almost like one administration because they're not getting it done. And every time they get on TV, it's the better word that I look at it, Brandon, is one that we talked about before called gaslighting. This is gaslighting on steroids on what's going on right now. We're being told the economy's great. If the economy's great, why are prices still high? Why do I go out for breakfast and I don't notice anything other than the fact that it's gone up, literally? Why do I sit back and go shopping and see myself get less stuff? Why? I mean, we all know that. And what's really amazing is a lot of the people who are going to take a hit in this, when they revalue and devalue and revalue, when they sit back and right now talk about the great big deal and the great wonderful deal out there, yes, there'll be tax benefits, but ultimately it's going to be a form of a one world currency because of the fact of this digital dilemma that we're going into right now. And what I'm talking about is the European Union, Brandon, is already going digital. It's happening now. We know that about China. We know that the Trump administration wants to go digital, and we're being told it's not going to be a problem. Everybody just hold on. Well, paper money, in my opinion, will be gone within 18 months, maybe a few months later than that. And when that happens and all that money is sit back digitally, they can sit, devalue, revalue, and it's going to be one little happy scenario. And the problem is that the people who are going to be affected and being torn up are the middle-class America and upper middle-class America. And I'm talking to people out there that think, well, my life is great. I'm retired. I put away $10 million. I'm good to go. What happens if your $10 million is worth $2? What happens then? What happens if the spending power that money you thought you had tons of money put away and you were living a wealthy life is changing? That's what happened in the 30s. And when it happens overnight. We talked about it the other day on the show. What happened in 2008? If everybody is a genius, if everybody is so smart, if you've got the greatest financial genius in the world handling your account, why in 2008, within a week, people have lost 30 to 40% of their portfolio across the board? But then again, Brandon House, Mike Weiner, all of us type of guys were wrong for telling people there's a problem here. And You're absolutely right. That inflationary problem is not being connected. It sort of makes you feel, Brandon, that there's one government. The Democrats and the Republicans act like they hate each other. In some respects, if you play with the numbers, it's like they're all in bed together.
They are. It's one bird with two wings, as people say often. I mean, it is a system, and they are playing on the same team. You know, I've interviewed G. Edward Griffin, who wrote the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. He's in his 90s now. I interviewed him a few months ago again. And he's been trying to say this for years. You know, you look at the education program. George H. Bush rolls out America 2000, right? It comes from the United Nations. And we got our American version of it called America 2000 under George H. Then Clinton comes in and changes the name to Goals 2000, right? And then after Clinton, we get George W., who calls it, No Child Left Behind. And then Obama comes in and changes the name to, Race to the Top, Common Core. It's the same thing. Even under Trump's first administration, his Secretary of Education was pushing this, and it was all tied back to global standards. I detail it in some of my books and shows, and that was Trump administration number one. Nothing changed. Republican, Democrat, same globalist education program. And you watch them, whether it's education, whether it's the economy, it's the same thing every time while they try to keep Americans distracted, thinking that this is something different. This is not the same thing. It is the same thing. I'm tired of it. It's deception. And apparently, I hate saying it, President Trump seems to be in on it. Otherwise, why would he tell us our utility bills are down? It's the greatest economy ever. Well, if the economy is so great, why do we need to bring in HB1 visa workers from overseas? Because Americans can't do the job. They're not smart enough, apparently. Wrong-o. Rosie the Riveter left the house, went to work and build planes. Then you have him telling us we have to have 600,000 Chi-Com students come in here to what? Spy? Steal our intellectual property? Who knows? Do what else to our food and water, as Gordon Shane warns about? But we got to do that so that our communist, left-leaning higher education centers of schools don't collapse. Why? They should collapse. I'm tired of it. And then we find out tonight that under Trump, when he rolled out warp speed, 86% of the PCR tests were giving false readings. And so people were taking the shot and other stuff, thinking they had COVID. I mean, at what point, folks, are you going to realize it's the same people? It might be a different flavor, but it's the same company manufacturing the same product with a different flavor. Listen to what this guy has to say about where we're going. Here's another great clip. Watch this.
This situation, if it happens one more time, it is the end. It is the end. It's the end of the dollar. It's hyperinflation. It's nasty stuff that you just don't want to wish for. So
If what happens one more time, if there's more quantitative easing?
QE, yeah.
If there's...
And I think it's going to happen. I really do. I just don't... Already you're seeing this shadow QE happening with the repos and everything. The bond system, government bond system is broken. It's broken. And again, this needs a serious approach. You can't tinker with this stuff. And again, the problem is that it's going to be painful. Any way you do it, it's going to be painful. And politicians are politicians. They don't get elected on administering pain. So I don't know. Sorry, I sound like a pessimist. I just don't see the way out.
I just want to clarify, though. You're saying one more round of QE could be the tipping point?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think the next round of QE will make 2009 look like garden party.
And to be clear, we did have Fed Chair Jerome Powell saying that they're going to stop QT, quantitative tightening,
yes,
which
that's
effectively step one, which effectively takes quantitative tightening is supposed to take liquidity out of the markets, and they're going to stop there. Quantitative easing is buying back your own bonds, effectively, right? Creating more.
Yes.
Yeah. Printing money. Yeah. Is there an amount that would be acceptable, or
I don't know, but it'll be large. It'll be large because the world is losing confidence. This is different than 2009. We're in a different world now. Much of the world's lost confidence in the U.S. dollar. So it's afraid of the U.S. administration and their tactics. We're at the tipping point, and I think the next round of QE is going to cause the world to panic.
Michael, what do you make of that? So this, and by the way, when do you think that's coming? And aren't they going to cut interest rates again around the 1st of December?
Well, they cut interest rates, but that's inflationary. And additionally, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to make a prediction on. Some of my predictions are occasionally correct. I'll make my annual prediction for gold next month, but I will tell you for next year. But I will tell you this, that I believe this tariff situation is going to blow up at the Supreme Court. You and I have talked about it. And the reason why I don't want to change subjects, because it's not changing subjects. They're going to use the blow up of the tariffs and what happened at the Supreme Court and the fallout from it to blame everything from continued inflation to whatever else is going on that tariff situation and what they're going to have to do to fix it. And everything that is a fallout from that will be blamed literally on the restructuring of the tariff law. That'll be a second-base situation that we see going on, and how they'll blame inflation and all the rest of it on this. There's been a one-world type of agenda in this country dating back all the way to John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy died a week before he tried to get rid of a week afterwards, he made that executive order to get rid of the Federal Reserve. The only guy, him and the great President Eisenhower, fabulous. The guy who really started us down the drain was Richard Nixon, when he took us off the dollar and opened the floodgates on to everything that's going on right now. So thank you, Richard Nixon. At the end of the day, I think it's going to be a situation that's going to be very, very bad. I think that people are going to sit back and get caught uncovered because nobody is warning them. The only people out here warning people is you, Brandon. And I'm not sitting back. I don't work for Worldview Weekend, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, very few people have the guts to get out there and say what's truly happening right now. And we are warning people to take action. We had Mitch on, who sat back and said there's only two ways to go. You've got to get assets in your portfolio. But the people, all of the people who think they're not even at risk at all, who are sitting on net worths of $10, $15, $20 million, oh, I'm fine. You're not fine, okay? you're just much as risk as the person who has a net worth of 200,000, because you'll lose bigger and you won't be able to recover as quick because you stopped working a long time ago. So it's going to sit back, unless you sit back and pay attention to what's going on. This inflationary pattern that's gone on, this false economy that's based on paper, has perpetuated billionaires and trillionaires. Millionaires are nickel dime. Get rid of you all day long. And that's exactly what's on the table here right now. The need to sit back and pay attention to the total devaluation of our economy. It's coming, and I think, even though I hear what these gentlemen say, and I agree with them, Brandon, and you, I think that when this situation happens with this tariff, and it's not going to go well, Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett are not going to go along with this. And when that happens, you're going to see them have the ability to have something to blame. That's what they're going to have.
And they're going to print more money. They have no choice.
They're going to print money. They're going to, and Trump's trying to take your mind off the ball by telling all Americans, we're going to give you $2,000. Go to Vegas.
Yeah.
So
and here we have Maria Bartiromo. She had a guest on talking about beef prices. If things are so great, Mr. Trump, why are we looking at beef prices and beef shortages and the price going up, up, up? Get used to it, folks. They're debasing the currency because that's the only way to pay off this $200 trillion debt when you figure on record, off record with unfunded liabilities. Watch this clip.
Look, domestically, we need to get our arms around it. Last time we got together, we talked about how the herd is at a 70-year low, demand is at an all-time high, and the net result is prices are through the roof. So there's this concept in the industry called heifer retention, and it's a decision that the rancher and the feedlot operator make to hold back the female animal to build the herd as opposed to send it to market. Now, that's a double-edged sword. We've started to see good signals that that's happening, but that means that the supply is going to continue to shrink as fewer cattle are going to market. So we are headed for what I'm calling, Maria, the $10 a pound reality. By third quarter of 26, families are going to see $10 a pound ground beef in the grocery store. So we're in for a bit of a haul here. I don't believe we'll see price come down in any meaningful way until sometime in 2027.
Wow. There you go. That's not going to play well for midterms and going forward. And by the way, let me just do a shameless plug here. I don't understand why, if you're watching tonight and you don't have several months or at least a year or more of freeze-dried food, I don't know why you don't. I have at least 3 years worth. I kept adding to it because I don't know, between Gordon Chang saying the next war starts in America with terrorist attacks in the U.S., former CIA Sarah Adams warning that Al-Qaeda is going to do it October 7th here in the U.S. Then you have the economy, potential massive inflation, hyperinflation, food shortages. I'm not playing around. It's food. Not only is it food, I can barter with it, all right? If you have dollars, who's going to want dollars? What are you going to go buy with if there's nothing to buy, or if it's limited, or if there's been such a decrease in supply, you now have the supply and demand kick in and it's so expensive to get. But if you have bought something, a commodity in one way, food, and you've got 2 or 3 years worth or more, and you can barter with it, who is not going to want to barter with you? A mechanic, a plumber, a carpenter? Someone you need to fix the plumbing, your AC guy, your heat guy, whoever it might be. I mean, that's what I've done. I'm planning on, if I have to, bartering with it, right? So I have multiple ways. So worldviewstore.com, you ought to do it. 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 year, gluten-free. This is real food, by the way. It's not fake food. It's real food. It's just been freeze-dried. You add water and you bring it back. Worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com. Now let's go back to the gold and silver. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to add one thing before we get to the gold and silver again regarding that food situation. If you remember, over a year ago, I said, if you people don't get properly stocked up and protected, with the freeze-dried foods that you offer them. Understand something. All these guys say, I got my guns. You'll sell your guns to eat.
That's right.
Be assured of the fact. You will sell your guns to eat. That was a show we did about the old Twilight Zone movie show with the bomb shelter.
Yep.
It's the same thing. If you don't properly prepare with the items that we're talking about here right now, especially the food, you will sell your food. You'll sell your guns to eat.
Yep. All right. So I want to show you a video here, guys. This is interesting. Just to look at the rate of inflation, because they're saying, look, we can't pay it all off. We're going to have to debase the currency to pay off the debt with cheaper money. And by the way, again, watch as they lie to you. And as Michael is saying, they're probably going to use the ruling on tariffs that he cannot have the power to do what he's been doing. And President Trump put out on Truth Social the other day, it's $3 trillion. That's uncertain amountable. It could have be a national security event, he said. So it sounds like to me he's preparing for it to happen. He's already ramping it up. And if you think they're going to start releasing all of a sudden honest inflation and CPI numbers, no. But if you want to get an idea of inflation, I found this video today. Watch this.
In 1960, this is what a homemaker might have worn while shopping at the supermarket. For $50, her shopping cart included rib roast of beef, hamburger, pork chops, bacon, chicken, tuna fish, a ham, a turkey, all kinds of fruits and vegetables, including 1 head of lettuce, 2 loaves of bread, and 5 pounds of coffee. In 1960, you could get a house that looked like this one for about $17,000. You might also have had a top-of-the-line Ford Thunderbird like the one in this old TV commercial for $3,700. Things changed by 1970. Remember the miniskirt. The shopping cart did not include any bacon, any ham, or a few other items, but it still had 1 head of lettuce, 2 loaves of bread, and 5 pounds of coffee. For $17,000 in 1970, you could buy about 3/4 of this new house, and the $3,700 car would not be top of the line. By 1980, the change has been dramatic and traumatic. The shopping cart is a different type and has less and less. No sirloin steak, no rib roast, no pork chops, no bacon, no chicken, no ham, no turkey, and fewer staple items. Although there is 1 head of lettuce, 2 loaves of bread, and 5 pounds of coffee. This year, your $17,000 will buy only 1/4 of that house, and this year, your $3,700 will pay for only one of the least expensive cars. By 1990, this may be what you'll be wearing, but it is certain that if inflation continues at about 10% a year, that for $50, you will carry from the grocery store only 1 head of lettuce, 2 loaves of bread, and 5 pounds of coffee. Your $17,000 for a home will buy only a small fraction of just 1 room. If you could afford the entire house, it would cost about $250,000. And if inflation continues, the money you could have bought a Thunderbird for in 1960 will buy you this motorcycle.
Guys, do you remember him? I remember him. Did he have the program called Fight Back or something? I thought it was called Fight Back. I remember him. And he obviously did this, I think, in the, what year would he have done this in? I don't know. He says it's an old ad from the 1960s, explains inflation. But, man, he nailed it, didn't he? Where we're at today?
Exactly. I go back to the prehistoric days, as you know.
Yes, I do.
And by then we were trading rocks and sticks. But I think that the founders of the nation were very realistic people. That's why it put us under the gold standard, because they didn't want people to spend more money than they had a physical, tangible asset in front of them that kept people straight. Because back in those days, if you didn't pay your bills, you went to debtor's prison or you became an indentured slave. Nowadays, you just keep spending. And we talked about credit card on credit card. They've got a double dose going here to be able to make an excuse for everything that's happened bad economically. They've been telling us the last quarter is going to be phenomenal. It's no longer going to be phenomenal. It's not going to be 3% GDP. My prediction is going to come out about 1.4 GDP. That's my prediction.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they're going to blame it on the shutdown, which at one time during the shutdown, we were told, don't worry about it. It's not that bad. It will only cost us several billion. Now they're saying it costs us 1.5 trillion. Okay. That coupled with the tariff situation will be a huge arm's length set off to all the problems that we have. And it's going to be the blame game. The blame game doesn't protect you. The problem is that even the securities industry, financial services, the bond markets are all in cahoots. And the reason why they're all in cahoots is because when they created mutual funds and fund managers who are worth billions right now, including Basant, who was a fund manager, understand the fact that realistically, they created what's called money under management and backdoor money. Try to look up backdoor money because you'll never see what it is. For some reason, the government will not force these companies, the securities firms, be it Merrill Lynch, J.P. Morgan, Morgan Stanley, T. Rowe, it doesn't matter, to tell how much money they're making on the backside. They're all in on it. They're all making money on your money every day. They started that in 1980. That's why when I used to do shows with Louis Rukeyser, Wall Street Week, and one of the people here, Brandon, you can't find me, but he even remembers, they used to call me the gold bug. Understand the fact that realistically, this was a game that was created to create commissions and money that everybody in the business became ultra wealthy. And that's where all these new billionaires come from, fund management. So that's where gold walks in. We're sort of their antichrist because we're the end of the road. We're a dead-end street. They can't make money under management if you physically own gold. In any event,
well, by the way, I think that little video I showed was from the 1980s, by the way. I kind of tracked it down.
Somebody put in the 1980s.
Yeah, somebody put out a tweet that said this today. At what point will all this hate for old people result in the young people euthanizing the old people? Because, it's time. I need that person's house. 80 is old enough. I'll get to die a natural death. But will you reap what you sow? That's really sad. But it is. It's something I've been concerned about and talked about on our show here for years, active euthanasia. But you see the financial people talking about all the trillions of dollars and homes and everything and investments that are locked up with the older people. And it makes it look like somehow the problem will be solved if we can get rid of the older people who are a drain on us with Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, et cetera. And they have the assets of the houses. I mean, this is really dangerous because, again, when there's bad economic times, they look for someone to blame, whether it's the Jews, or whether it's the old people, whether it's capitalism, they look for someone to blame. And of course, different people will blame any of those groups. What?
Financial gaslighting, that's what it is. And at the end of the day, all of these people, which I'm one of them, the baby boomers, understand the fact this inheritance world is unbelievable. It's like these people won the lottery. Their parents worked their lives to make all this money, and their kids can't spend it fast enough. I know so many.
Can I stop you right there for a minute? That is so interesting you said that. Because last night, my wife and I had that very conversation, okay? We know people that have inherited their money from their parents. The parent, I can think of one case, the parent had no college degree, didn't even have a high school diploma, went to work for a utility company, worked their way up in the utility company, took the money, lived very frugally, married, had about 3 or 4 kids, lived very frugally, worked his way up into a utility company, as I said, no high school diploma, and ended up investing his money and bought stocks, utility companies, big, chains, food chains like Walmart, et cetera, and just did this for decades. And when he passed away, he had a lot of money. that goes to the kids. And you can watch some of the kids on social media, and they're traveling the world. Now, he probably would be very happy that he was able to do this for his children, and they can go and travel the world and see things. You know, I said to my wife, I said, oh, that's all good and well, but, you know, you scrape, you save, you do without, you don't buy a new car every 2-3 years, you drive it for 10 plus years. You don't belong to a golf club. You know, you don't do all these things that other people do. You save, invest, because you want to make sure you have enough money so that when you get to the end of life, you can go to a nice retirement home or hire 24-hour care in your own home so you're not abused in some slum, disgusting, nursing home. And you save your money hoping that you don't run out of money before you run out of life. And a lot of people have outlived their savings. So they live and they don't have any, the medical treatment, the medical care is horrible now because they're out of money. And a lot of people are worried about that. I'm one of them. My kids often say, well, why don't you do this and this? I'm like, because I'm saving for my old age, because I don't want to end up in a nursing home. I want to be able to afford 24-hour care, And so you save and you get to the spot where you die and you pass this money on to your kids. And in some cases, like the example I'm looking at here, it was a lot of money. And you would think that they would be turning around and investing it. And I don't know what they're doing with it, but you would think and you would hope that they're investing it to pass it on to their children and their children's children. And I said to my wife, the problem is today, people don't think, in many regards, beyond themselves. They don't think about multi-generational help. So, it's interesting when you brought that up, because my wife and I were having that conversation last night. The poor people that work so hard and save and do without, leave it to their kids, and their kids go out and spend it on luxuries, not thinking about someone giving them a little bit of help, that they got. Maybe they ought to pass it along to their children and grandchildren. But generally within one generation, it's gone.
Let me tell you something, Brandon. I had a father who literally served in World War II. He came in on Omaha Beach. He was wounded 4 times. Came home after 6 years in 5 years. He went in 41, came home in 46. Died ultimately of his war wounds in 93 from blood poisoning in his system. He worked his life. He built up a shoe store, a shoe chain. And when my sister and I sold the company, I took that money and I put it all in gold. Why? Because I looked at it as my responsibility. That man worked his whole life for that, his whole life. And I wanted to make sure that my family could transfer it down. I didn't want to go to Vegas. Thank God. I worked hard enough to be as successful as what I have. But at the end of the day, I want to see some security. But most of these people spend money and they put it in something and they get involved with the greed factor. That's where we talk about securing themselves with gold, etc. This generational background right now, this new generation, there's 2 of them. The Gen X's, they don't want to work. And the millennials just want to spend. And then we go back to the people like myself who are, baby boomers, that if I see money laying on the ground, I pick it up. If I see a quarter, I pick it up. I don't walk past it. I mean, it's hilarious in some respect. But what we talk about every single day on Worldview Weekend, from the generators, from the phones to the satellite phones, to most importantly, the freeze-dried food, and then the ability to protect your estate so you don't lose your home. We talk about the freeze-dried food. If you don't have gold in your portfolio, you're going to be eating their freeze-dried food in a tent. Okay?
Yep. All right, get the packet, folks. Worldviewgold.com, worldviewgold.com, or call the 877. I don't know what the number is off the top of my head. 1-877-8. I dare give a wrong number. 1-877-864. Thank you. 1072. 1-877-864-1072. I guess the takeaway tonight, Michael, is stop listening to the government. Even this administration, they all do it. They cover their rear ends. They have made a decision. I think the decision is that they wanted Donald Trump to sell the American people on the Great Reset. on the idea of digital IDs, on the idea of the tech bros, and to tell you the economy is wonderful while it goes down and they flip from a debt-based system to an asset-based system, tokenize everything, and he's going to be there to sell it to you on the way down and tell you your utility bill is not going up, that it's actually gone down, to tell you that when you know it's not true. I think he's been brought in as the great salesman to sell you the great collapse. That's my opinion. I mean, it's his job now to prove me wrong by changing his behavior. This is on him, not me. We were the ones that were trying to be supportive and wanted the best for him. He's the one that's changed, not us. And I'm not limiting what I say that make any of the MAGA people happy, because my job isn't to report to make the MAGA people happy. My job is to report to keep my audience informed so they can prepare for what's coming.
You're absolutely right, and I appreciate the opportunity all the time. We've been educating people for 17 years, and right now, everything that we've talked about is on the table. All the factors are there in front of you, and the other people who are also not your friends are the people, these financial planning people. They changed the name. I used to be a stockbroker. They changed it to financial planner. I guess it sounds more wonderful, but understand the fact, be one-dimensional. Look at your portfolio, protect yourself, because these people work for the same people who trickle right up the ladder to this environment that we're talking about right now. And if you don't see it, you're foolish.
Yeah, indeed. And let me give you one last clip. I guess even Fox News is starting to question this whole HB1 visa program. Look at this.
100,000 H-1B visa holders in America. Now, who is coming to this country to take these high-skilled jobs? As I mentioned, STEM fields dominate the occupations, and most of the workers come from India. In fact, 70% of H-1B visa holders come from India. Another 10 to 15% come from China. 80% of H-1B visa approvals are for entry-level or junior-level jobs. That's a little hard to stomach when we hear that we're not talented enough.
So I don't know why you won't say the word Trump. When Trump tells you we're not talented enough Americans, and yet 80% approvals are for entry-level and junior-level jobs. How many times do I have to tell you guys, and I think most of you already know this, so excuse me for being too excited tonight and yelling a little bit, but we are being lied to, and I'm tired of it. Tired of it. Does he not know this? Does he not know that 80% of the approvals for HB1 are for people overseas to come in here and take entry or junior level jobs, and we're supposedly not smart enough as Americans to do this work? Really?
Or that we're not skilled enough for these jobs when you consider that most of these jobs are actually at entry or junior level jobs. And it's definitely to the benefit of corporations, tech companies that can hire foreign workers, trust me on this, cheaper than American workers. This is laid out, by the way, by billionaire tech entrepreneur Palmer Luckey.
There's so much H-1B abuse. You would not believe what I saw when I was in Silicon Valley. It is insane. It's obviously a program to try and replace U.S. workers with basically slave labor that can't ever escape. H-1.
So Donald Trump now is clearly, whether he knows it or not, thrown in with big business. Michael?
Well, yeah, that is absolutely correct, but also what's going on with the crypto world. People are starting to ask about it. They're regulating it. They're pushing it. And two people, and I think one person, a gal on 60 Minutes, she wasn't totally wrong when she went after Trump and said, "Your children are going to be making billions and billions off this crypto business." So,
and what did so the Trump kids are getting rich on this, is what you're telling me.
You know what Trump's answer was?
What?
His answer was, "My children can do what they want to do. I don't control them." Interesting. That's why we're here to protect every single day. We just, you and I, we fight the battle, and we hope that people listen and try to do something about it.
Yep, we sure do. Let's see here. Maybe I want one more clip. Catherine Austin Fitz, who was just in studio with us about a month ago. Listen to what she has to say.
And what it looks to me like Trump and Musk are implementing the control grid at high speed. What you have to say is, okay, to do a control grid, we need a digital ID implemented that's very high quality, high precise. check the box. We need an all-digital financial system, check the box. We need a way of doing interoperable money, check the box. If you look at what Doge is doing, we need a social credit system, check the box.
Wait, what do you mean by that? What Doge is doing?
Danny, they've been aggregating this kind of data. I used to call it the data beast. So they've been aggregating this kind of powerful data since the 90s. So I don't think this is all new. So, for example,
IRS data, healthcare data, and combining it all together into one system combined with AI.
It's interesting because Musk was out raising capital for XAI and had to deal with Palantir AI at the same time. And my guess, I think
Palantir has an AI?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Well, according to published reports, XAI and Palantir had made a partnership, and when Musk was sucking all this data out. And my guess is that data is, they sucked it into the AI on the just do it method. So if I wanted to stop fraud in the U.S. government, I would say there's 20 trillion missing from DOD, there's $1 trillion missing from HUD. I'm going to go in, figure out where it went, get it back.
Right.
That's not what they did. If you said to me, I want to build a social credit system that can be used to enforce control against the American people and basically lock them down with both enforcement and social credit, I would go get the Social Security data, the IRS data, and the Treasury payment data, and that's exactly what they did.
So I think when it was all said and done, what Leo Holman, myself, and a few others said before Trump was elected, and it sure beat the alternative of Kamala Harris, so I'll give you that. But we said, what if they're going to let him win in order to bring in this entire digital World Economic Forum system? And I'm afraid that's exactly what we're seeing, the Great Reset.
You're right. But what's going to literally push all the blame off is going to be the tariff situation and the shutdown of the government. You're going to be talking about $4 or $5 trillion that spun everything in the wrong direction. That's the blame factor that's going to go on. But the people while all this is happening and the corrections that happen and the need to protect yourself is becoming so important that legitimately, again, like I said, we continue to say when 2008 happened, it just happened. The only people who were prepared were the people that dealt with us.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
By the way, the other people were not.
By the way, did you see they printed the last penny the other day?
I'll take it.
Here you go. Here it is. The last penny.
Everybody, this is the last one. Any final words?
I'd like to buy that.
God bless America. Yeah, God bless America. And we're going to save the taxpayers $56 million, which is good. We're going to do a countdown on this one. This is the last one. 3, 2, 1.
The last penny. I think it was costing what was it, 3 cents to print a penny?
All I know is right now, when I'm at the gym, the guys drop change out of their pocket at the workout benches there, and they don't pick it up. I say, you guys, you just drop it. I don't care. I pick it up. $840-some I donated to my church last year in jars that I used to save every day.
Oh yeah, it was costing 0.37 cents to mint a penny. There you go, the last penny. All right, there you go. Get your free packet, 1-877-864-1072, 1-877-864-1072, or worldviewgold.com. I don't give financial advice. I give financial opinion. I'll say that again. I do not give financial advice. I give financial opinion. So don't take this as any kind of suggestion or advice from a financial planner or anything. I'm just giving you my opinion. And my opinion is, I think we're headed where those who have hard assets, who have hard assets are the ones that are going to make it through this dollar debasement. Closing comment, Michael.
You're absolutely right. That's absolutely correct. If the people who have hard assets, like Mitch talked about, or own something that's a income-paying property, like we talked about, If they don't own those and you don't have it properly in your portfolio, and I'm not just talking, if you're just going to buy one or two coins and that's all you want to buy and your net worth is $1 million, what are you accomplishing? Go to the jewelry store, buy a watch. I mean, if you're going to really pay attention to this, then you need to talk about it and deal with it. I don't care if you can only, whatever your circumstances is, if you start off even with a few $100s just to get something going yourself, and we have a number of people we do that with, it's important. It's in the first step of making a move to protect yourself, your family, and your future.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Have a great weekend, Michael.
You as well.
Thank you,
Hello
Michael.
to Dolly.
Let's go
Night,
to the
Dolly.
Let's go to the Dolly cam because there she is. She's sleeping, as you can see. She does get a lot.
Sad, but
she gets a lot of.
Here's my voice.
Yeah, she does. She misses you, Michael. She gets a
I
lot
know
of. She gets a lot of activity. So for those of you who think she sleeps a lot, she runs around like a maniac. She runs around like crazy, and then comes into the studio and crashes. So this is not. Hey, your dog's not getting enough exercise, and she's depressed. No. She runs around like a maniac with the other dogs, has a lot of fun, and then comes up to the studio to crash. So there you go. All right.
Wow.
Have a great
You guys
weekend.
have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Michael
Take care.
Weiner checking in tonight, guys. All right. That's our broadcast for tonight. Let me ask you this, folks. Do you appreciate what we're doing? Would you call in and leave a voicemail? Call our voicemail line. Leave a voicemail. Leave a testimonial of what our network has meant to you for our International Online Worldview Weekend coming up December 4 and 5. We'd love to play a lot of these on the air. Would you leave a testimonial? If the line's busy, wait for us to clean it out. We will then open up space for you. But you can call that number, 901-468-9357. The timing there was incredible. 901-468-9357. 901-468-9357. Otherwise, folks, I think what they're going to do is just print the money. Oh, look, that got Dolly up. Look at Dolly. What do you think, Dolly? Yep. She's like, I'm not so sure about that, Dad. They're just going to, huh? I know, she's terrified. They're just going to print the money, folks. So anyway, if you like to have your dollars debased, that's what's going to apparently happen. But we've given you some information tonight. These are fake, by the way. These are fake. They're fake, Dolly. They're not real, okay? But if you would like to get some information, you might want to consider doing that because clearly they've got the plan, okay, and what they're going to do. And it's all there. It's pretty obvious to see, huh? What are you doing this weekend? Got big plans for the weekend? No, you don't have big plans for the weekend? You doing all right? You ready to go? Ready to get out of this studio? You guys go outside, go potty? You want some pumpkin? Some yogurt? All right. You like your pumpkin, don't you? Your yogurt? You love that stuff, don't you? All right, roll the music. Let's call it a night, guys. All right. I would normally say join me for our Sunday night service because I'm teaching through the book of Revelation, but I'm done with that. So I'm not so sure what I'm going to do on Sunday night. I'll have to let you know. I've got to work on a lesson Saturday and Sunday. I don't know. Thinking about starting a small little series on why I'm a Christian Zionist. So I might bring you that series on Sunday night. You'll just have to tune in and be surprised. Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern. Our Sunday night church service, worldviewtube.com. May God save America. Take care.
You are watching Worldview Tube, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon Howard.